One of the more popular methods of birth control is the pill, according to the CDC. But the number of women using it appears to be going down. New York Magazine's The Cut looked into why there's an increasing number of women questioning the use of hormonal birth control. The author of that article, Anna Silman, joins me now. She's a writer, senior writer for New York Magazine's The Cut. Anna, thanks so much for being with us.
Hi.
I thought your article was so interesting because the pill is one of those things that so many women that we know, or even ourselves, have taken for so long that we don't even really think about it that much.
Right.
And you are bringing up questions that a lot of women are saying, hey, you know, is the pill the reason that maybe I don't always feel so great? Does it have all kinds of effects on my life that I may not be aware of? And women are asking these questions now. Why now? Why at this particular moment?
I think a lot of it has to do with the rise of the sort of wellness industrial complex. You know, there's a lot of concern about putting anything artificial in your body. And I think that is leading to some fear about hormones. And I would urge women to be very cautious of that.
Right.
But I think at the same time, there also is this sort of feminist current of thinking saying, you know, why should we be expected to bear all the costs of birth control on our own?
Well, you make an interesting point. A lot of women are now a little resentful. Like, why do I have to take the pill and men don't? And there was, I guess, research for a while into a men's pill that was terminated because the side effects weren't great. Is that what happened?
It was terminated because of safety concerns, but a lot of the headlines at the time were men complaining about acne and so on, bloating, and women are like, hello.
Yes. So it is an interesting point that you make. And again, the burden seems to always fall on women when it comes to methods of birth control. One of the interesting things I thought, though, you also pointed out was that there isn't enough research. There isn't a big enough body of research on the way the pill affects women's emotional health. And why is that?
I think there's a few reasons. I mean, one is that we know that women's health is not prioritized. Like Maya Dusenberry, who wrote this great book called Doing Harm, says there's both a trust and a knowledge gap when it comes to women's health. I also think it's a lot harder to do experiments on women because of they each have unique cycles. So you have to tailor the experiment knowing that every woman is different, and that makes it more expensive. But I think a lot of it is people just haven't really thought to ask. Most of the research is about what the pill does to your body, not your brain.
And in your research for this piece, when you spoke to the medical community, you spoke to doctors, what did they tell you about the pill?
That, you know, the sort of prevailing wisdom is that there are no harmful mental side effects for most women. But some researchers like Sarah Hill, who's got a book coming out in the fall called This Is Your Brain on Birth Control, thinks that we just don't know enough. We don't know enough about how hormones affect the brain. And the fact is, they do affect the brain, and your brain affects your body.
Right, and of course, everyone is affected in their own way. That's what makes it a little difficult to sort of quantify how you're personally going to be affected. And you talk in your piece about your own personal experience going off the pill after, 13 years of taking it?
Yeah, since I was 15.
And what was your personal experience like?
I just had lots of friends saying to me, I went off the pill and I felt so much better. And it had never occurred to me that it could be affecting my mental health. But I did.
They reported things like feeling more clear and more alive.
Yeah, feeling more vibrant, feeling more like a better sense of self, like feeling more alive. And I, wanted to see for myself. And
did you have a similar experience?
I found that for me, I did have a decrease in anxiety that was quite noticeable. And so that was what, led me to start looking into how much of this is just wellness trutherism and bunk science, and how much is there really more information that we need to learn.
Right, because there is that sort of somewhat scary branch of wellness that intersects with the anti-vax world, right, that just sort of distrusts anything that the medical community provides. Right, so you have to figure out where in the Venn diagram does all of this fit, right?
Yeah, I think the piece was really about teasing out how much of it is this sort of anti-vax-esque paranoia and fear of anything the medical establishment says, and how much of it is a genuine lack of research into something that could be affecting a lot of women.
Well, there's no doubt that when it comes to women's health, there just is simply not enough research in a whole variety of ways. How does social media play into this? Well,
Dr. Jen Gunter, who's an OBGYN who I spoke to for the piece, said there's something called the illusory truth effect, which is the more that you hear something, the more likely you are to believe it. And I think that can lead to the amplification of negative stories about people's bad pill experiences. People hear influencers saying, I went off the pill and it changed me in XYZ way. So I think really what we need is just more robust research.
So it's sort of the nocebo effect, the opposite of the placebo effect. If somebody suggests that maybe the pill is making you unhappy, you'll suddenly become unhappy.
Exactly. It's all very hard to tease out. But I think ultimately the important thing is knowing that women are all different. They all have different reactions to this stuff, and just giving them the knowledge that they need to make the choice, and we don't have that yet.
Absolutely. It's good that we should all be questioning why this is so necessary, right? And what it's doing to our bodies. All right. Anna, thank you so much for coming to see us.